Hi, I'm Cheryl Waters. You're listening to Live at KEXP at Home, and I am going to talk today with our dear friend, Perfume Genius. Mike Hadreas is joining us today. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
It is so
How's it
great.
going?
It's great. I'm so excited to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
I've been reading the comments just before we went on. Lenka says it's almost witchy hour here in Germany. So
I like that.
I like it a
I'll
lot too. I
take
don't know
that
what
for an
that means.
hour.
What that means for what we need to present today, but I
Yeah,
like
let's
the image.
let's conjure.
Let's conjure for sure. So you're home in LA. I'm here in Seattle. And when I found out that you moved to LA, I have to say, I was really happy for you. I love the sun. I'm not a California hater. I love California. I was sad for us because even though I never ran into you in town, I only saw you at your shows or when you came in studio, knowing that you were just down the road,
hmm
just gave me, kind of a warm, fuzzy feel. But tell me about moving to California. How's that been for you?
Um, I miss Seattle in a lot of ways. I miss my family, I miss my friends, I miss the familiarity of it and the pace in a way. But I like it here. I like how it's consistently bright. Which I thought I would take a long time to adapt to, but it was like within a couple days, I was like, I could get it. I mean, I don't like being directly in the sun, but I like being adjacent. I like having it available to me, or just like witnessing it, maybe more than I don't know, it's uplifting. But I like it. I mean, now I'm just home. I'm just inside all the time.
I
Um,
know. Isn't that crazy? I am home as well. I've been doing my show at home for about 2 months now, and I live alone, which I love generally.
mhm,
But I've been trying to stay super safe, so I've been isolating, which
mhm.
feels pretty isolating. What kind of setup do you and Alan have at home?
We just moved. We moved into this house yesterday.
Oh my
And this
god!
house has more of like a little bit of an outdoor. It's not really a yard. It's more just space around the house, but it's more private. And the outdoor space, like we can leave the doors open, and my dog can run in and out, and we don't have to leash her. And it's a lot more light in this house, so it feels more open. It's not very big, but the other house that we were just in, like me and Alan could always know where the other person was. There's no, we were always like right on top of each other. Here, like I could be in one room and he could be somewhere else, and I wouldn't even know. And I enjoy that vibe in quarantine. We need to at least have the illusion of space for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I imagine when you wanna do work as well, it's nice to be able to get away and sequester
Yeah.
yourself and,
Well, for
not
writing too, it's going to be a big deal, and I think that's always like the big reason for me from moving. It's because I need to be able to play and sing and not feel like my neighbors are being bothered or that they're bothering me.
it's, kind of hard to believe that your first record, Learning, came out is it 10 years ago? Are we talking about 10 years right now?
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy.
It is. You did your first KEXP session 10 years ago. In August, it will be 10 years. I mean, in some ways, it feels like a million years ago to me, but in some ways, it feels like it was just yesterday. I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. And I have felt so honored to watch your incredible journey, and your sound and your storytelling has expanded and grown over 10 years. I mean, you've always been at the heart and core of that. It's been great to watch every album, even starting with that first one, make the best of both fans and critics list every year, and to see artists, fall in love with you and cover your songs. When you look back over the last 10 years, I mean, what does that path look like and feel like to you? I realize that's a big question, but
Yeah. um, it's overwhelming to be honest. I don't. I think that's why I don't. I mean, I'm always doing stuff. I'm always trying to like even after these songs were done, I'm like, okay, what's the next song's going to be like? What are the next thing I'm gonna do? I have a hard time looking back sometimes in a real way, like in a warm way. I think back a lot as to like for during writing and things like that, but at my life or like considering my life or what I'm doing, um, I don't very often. And I think some ways that's helpful for making things, but it can also make me feel kind of really ungrateful and lose perspective because I'm just in the middle of whatever I'm zinging on at the moment.
It
Um,
it kind of sounds like you're pretty good at living in the moment, which is a pretty evolved state of being. I mean, do you feel like you can do that? Or that's something I'm always
uh,
working
I'm
towards.
good at living in the moment I have created for myself, but I'm not certain it's always the one that's actually happening. Um, so that could be confusing. But I mean, I can't really. A lot of the reason why I don't think about it is because it's really anxiety producing and overwhelming. And even the goodness of it is just so overwhelming. And I need to make sure that I let enough of it in to feel good, but not too much where I feel done or something. Or like, I don't know. I like a specific amount of restlessness. So it's just trying to find a healthy balance of like, calming myself, but also scrambling still so that I'm making stuff.
Balance, isn't that a
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Well, the new album set my heart on fire immediately. It is spectacular. Such a beautiful piece of work. And I know you've been doing a lot of unique promotion around it now, presenting it to the world in a fully new way. I appreciate you doing this today. You've recorded some songs, several of them from the new record, and then you did a cover for us, which was great. Let's play one now. This is
Okay.
actually the first song on the record called Whole Life. It's Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home.
Okay.
Half of my whole life is gone. Let it drift and wash away. It was just a dream. It was just a dream. Half of my whole life is gone. Heather gathers in its place. It was just a dream, yeah. It was just a dream. The mark will lift me, a clip on my wing. Oh Lord, let it soften. I forgive everything I was on the seasons. Now I'm whistling. Half of my whole life is done. Let it drift and wash away.
You're listening to Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home. Whole Life from the new album Set My Heart on Fire immediately. Mike, thank you so much for recording those songs for us.
Yeah.
And these are live sessions. And the first few, we did have the artists performing live right in the session, but trying to do these new types of live and studio sessions on new platforms instead. The sound would fall out and we would get all kinds of clip sound. So this is what we have come up with, and that sounded magnificent. One of our listeners was saying they were having a very, very envious of your speakers in that
Yeah.
studio that you've
They're
got
not
set up.
mine. They're not mine. I'm envious too.
You start the album with that song and such a powerful statement. You say, "Half my whole life is gone." Can you talk about the reflection behind those words?
I mean, I certainly hope it's not true. But when I wrote that song, that was the lyric I had. You know, I had the song and I had that lyric, and so I had to finish the song, and I had a choice when I was writing whether I could fill out the rest of the words with something hopeful or not. And I landed somewhere maybe like middle warm. Like I think it's ultimately just warm. I think just because there's sadness and there's some bittersweet elements to that song, I don't think that takes away from the warmth and the hope of it. Um, it's just about the idea of seeing if you can truly move in a new direction and shed all the things that you've been carrying around for a very long time, that you don't need anymore or that are harmful, and seeing if you can keep the ones that are good or drop those too and figure it out.
How do you begin the process of pulling this very emotional work out of yourself? Has it been the same for you over the course of all the records?
No. I think in the beginning it was very much about going over my past and bringing up memories and bringing up things that were complicated or confusing to me or that weren't tidy, and either documenting them and leaving all the complications in there, and somehow that, just having this like document or this thing made from it would soothe it, or purposefully warming up a darker memory, or putting grace into something that didn't feel like I had any at the time in memory. Um, and then over the years, I kind of stopped, digging through my journal as much, and it was more about, um, you know, some of it was rebellious, some of it was singing songs at people because I was mad, and then it became things about how I'm feeling now, or want to feel, or projections or impressions, you know. But this most recent record feels like a harmony of all of that. I feel like this record, I wanted to write more like lyrically how I wrote in the beginning, because I'm really proud of those lyrics, and um, I was more satisfied writing it in that way, even if I'm not specifically writing, you know, about memories. Some of these songs are, but I wanted them to be stories, and I felt like there were more stories in my first songs. There were more street names and nouns and people's names, and that's always been really satisfying to me. Instead of just explicitly talking about the feeling itself, but making a story in a situation for the feeling to live in.
Do you make a lot of stuff that doesn't end up on the record when you're writing?
There's so many just like 15-minute long like drones with me just like just like singing in tongues and rolling around, and I mean that's how I start. I write by recording, so I'm just putting effects on my voice or effects on my keyboard and just going over and over, going something, and then I will just sort of vibe on it endlessly sometimes, and sometimes nothing comes from it, but I kind of like it, but it's not a song. It's more, I can feel the genesis, I can feel the origin story in the thing, even if it didn't turn into like a song or anything. I can feel the origins in all my demos of what they could be, and it's really satisfying. At some point I want to make like an ambient record or something that where it feels more Like I can leave that in there instead of trying to make it make a story out of it, or make a pop structure out of it.
Well, the great thing about an ambient record is there's definitely still a story in it, and you have your story, but then you leave it open for such huge
Yeah.
interpretation for the people who hear it as well. I know that dance was an enormous part of this new record, and you said that it blew up your idea that you had to be detached from others in your work. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about that. Of course, I'm familiar with the work that you did with Kate Wallach and the YG Dance Group, who are, of course, based here in Seattle, and the sun still burns here. And again, that feels like that was so long ago. And
I
maybe
know.
you were working on that initially a long time ago, but that only happened in the fall.
I
Um,
know, that's wild. It does feel like so long ago.
but I I have a million questions about that because you've always been very physical in your live performances, but there's a new kind of physicality that you brought out, especially in the videos for this, and then in the piece that you did with Kate and the dancers. Can you talk a little bit about that coming into your life, how it came into your life, and how it changed it?
I mean, there's so many ingredients, and it informed how I wrote and what I wrote about, informed how I felt, like in general, not just in a creative way or just around the thing that we all made together. Um, it was a really strange bridge for me because all of my music writing in the beginning, I mean, it takes a lot of people to make my records, and I collaborate, and it becomes the finished thing is very much involves lots of people. But the very beginnings of it and writing is very isolated for me. And um, I like that, and I thought I required that. And I had never really written a song from the very beginning with anyone. I would bring half a song to somebody and we'd finish it together. But the dance, we made everything together, and there were different rules, and I was using different. Um, I wasn't just rolling around in my room in the dark singing to drones. I was actually rolling around in the room with other people to a drone, but it was like it's confusing to me still. I mean, I we were talking about being present, and I don't necessarily feel present ever. I tried to count I remember a couple years ago I was trying to count the times that I felt present that year, and I could only think of two. I was swimming in Australia when we were on tour, and I suddenly looked around and I was like, I'm in the ocean, and this is very nice, and look how nice it is outside. Like for a second, I like clicked in, but I spend most of my time like anxious, and if I'm not anxious, then I'm detached and thinking about well, who knows. I'm in some spiral, and my work comes from it, but a lot of other stuff comes from it too. But the dance was a way for me to bring this kind of magical place that I go to when I'm isolated, when I'm writing, into my actual body and into the room we were in and with people. And it was like a portal to being present, but I still maintained all the magic that I feel when I'm not, you know, and it soothed the anxiety that kept me from connecting in a lot of ways because I wasn't talking or singing. I didn't have um, same rules. I also think I got used to making stuff that I knew was going to be for other people, which is really important to me. But it was always heavy on my mind, all the people I'm making. And when I was dancing, I was just doing it for me in the beginning. Like, I had no frame of reference for it. I didn't know what it was going to end up being. And so it felt very therapeutic. And I don't know if any of what I said just now made sense at all or answered your question, but that is what I said.
It made perfect sense. I
Okay, good.
I can f I can feel the emotion when you dance. It is very magical, and I might be feeling something most likely different than what you're feeling, obviously, and I'm not dancing. How did you learn to do that, and how did you transform yourself and your body and your mind to do that? I mean, did you take lessons?
I mean, a lot of that was very much because of Kate and the YC and rehearsing with them in the classes that we took together that she taught and the other dancers in the company taught. We did a lot of rehearsals for that piece, and a lot of them were not just going over parts of the performance over and over, but were about aligning your body and connecting to it and connecting to each other, connecting to the space around you. All these sort of exercises and activities that I didn't realize I was craving so much and that I didn't understand at the time how powerful they were until they were.
Do you feel like you have a different relationship with your body now?
Yeah.
Using it in that way?
It's confusing because a lot of the reason why I agreed to do the performance at all was because I was physically feeling better and I was like in remission from Crohn's disease, and I'm not anymore. So it's strange to have, like, the same with quarantine. Like, the whole record is about connecting to other people and thinking so much about connections and being outside even and being in the real world, and then I'm just suddenly that's not available to me. And the same with health and being like connected to my body and feeling like finally I have some control over it. Getting sick again just reminds me that I don't. But I still learned all those things that I learned. The reason I started exercising is because I felt better. I've always wanted to exercise for vanity, but I'm not that vain. Like, I want to look better, but it's never been enough of a motivating.
I'm right there with you.
But once I started exercising, I was like, I physically feel better. And once I started getting stronger and I was like walking around like the grocery store, I was like, I could I don't know, I just felt strong and I loved that feeling. It made me want to keep doing it. And so, I don't know, everything's sort of a mess right now.
Is your health right now keeping you from being able to exercise?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'll figure it out. But the thing is, my body knows that that's all available to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that even beyond in a physical way, spiritually, all the things that I kind of were scrambling to figure out, they will still be there when all this is over, or even if it isn't.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Cheryl Waters at KEXP, talking with Mike Hadreas of Perfume Genius. The new album set my heart on fire immediately, and you recorded some songs exclusively for KEXP, and this is the third song on the record called Without You.
It's the strangest feeling, unknown, even almost good. It's a blurry shape, it's a jumbled tapeless sound. It's enough, not too loud, just enough to find a trace. It's enough in the mirror, I can almost find your face. It's been such a long, long time without you. Without you. It's the strangest feeling, unknown, even almost good, with the dark still swinging. So long chasing satisfaction's a lonely thing, or so she tells me. Underneath the feeling, I'm feeling something when the center falls out. At least I'll have the spring. It's been such a long, long time without you. Without you. It's the strangest feeling, unknown, even almost good, with the dark still swinging. So long chasing satisfactions of lowly fate, or so she tells me underneath the feeling. I'm feeling something when the center falls out. At least I'll have the spring. You know it's been such a long, long time without you.
That is Perfume Genius live on KEXP at Home, a song from the new album Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. You mentioned just a moment ago that it takes a lot of people to make your records, and I want to talk about the making of this specific record a minute. You worked with Blake Mills again, who you worked on with 2017's No Shape, and I read in several interviews that you said you wanted this record to have more of a live feeling. How did that change things up from the way that you've worked on records in the past?
I mean, all of the records in some way had maybe one or two songs that were, all of us playing live together. But especially No Shape was very much like layers. Like it would just be me singing with an instrument, and then we just went to nuts piling stuff on, and then would edit it or leave it all, maximal as possible. And I think this record, Blake and I and all the musicians, it felt in line with what I was writing about too, trying to like have the songs be these stories and like captured moments that held the bigger feeling. And that's what playing together is like. And so it was the same group of musicians, and we tried to record all together in the least amount of takes as possible. And I'm not like super precious about it. It wasn't like some sacred old-fashioned thing. But there's a lot of ingredients to that made sense for this record. Even performance, I wanted to feel like I was performing while I was recording. And sometimes it can be very confessional, and I'm singing to myself or singing into the air. In this record, I wanted to feel like I was performing. I was singing to someone or as if I was on stage. And just feel the people and feel the energy of everybody making it, because I felt like that would translate, and I think it did.
Tell me who some of those people were. And some of the people I can remember are Phoebe Bridgers, Matt Chamberlain, Alan, of course, Blake's on the record, Jim
Pino
Keltner.
Palladino,
Oh,
Jim
wow.
Keltner, Pino Palladino, Rob Moose did the string arrangements. I'm so terrified I'm going to forget somebody.
There's a lot of people. Well, you said a lot of people to make a record. Do you remember for one of the sessions, like what was the most amount of people that was in the room at once?
I don't know.
I mean, are we talking like 5 or 6 people? Because not everybody plays on every song, or was it something like this?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like 5 people.
Okay.
4 or 5 people, 6, and people would do alternate takes sometimes if they, you know what I mean? But Matt Chamberlain, one moment I keep thinking about is when Matt Chamberlain, I think it was actually drums for the dance record, because he was playing, because the last song of the dance performance is this jam that me and Blake did. And it's just kind of formless, like even writing a melody to it was intense, because I wasn't thinking of turning it into some like song where I have lyrics and a chorus and everything like that, but I ended up doing it. And Matt Chamberlain, we just let him start playing on it, and it was insane. It was insane. Like I started physically getting really like hyped up and amped up, and I almost had to like leave the room because it was so like overwhelmingly good and like perfect, like exactly what I wanted, but also beyond. He's a maniac.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I absolutely love the videos for this new record, and I follow you and Alan both on Instagram. And at some point, I don't remember when, I started seeing these beautiful photos, and I didn't know what they were for. They looked like they were professionally shot, but I didn't know if you were just had great iPhones or something. And they were so powerful and riveting. And you were contorted into all these shapes, and you were shirtless and ripped, and Alan was tied up, which was very confusing when I didn't know why, and you were so dirty, and I didn't know what you were up to, but I loved it, and I knew that you had moved down to California, so I just thought, "They're just having fun out in the desert," and, now I've come to realize you were making these beautiful videos. Tell me more about the visuals. I understand that you directed or co-directed these videos. Tell
Yeah.
me about the whole process of making these, putting the ideas together, shooting them.
I'm well for Describe, I originally was thinking I would collaborate with a director, but once I started putting my mood board and my ideas together, I realized that this is the whole thing. I don't need more ideas. I have the whole thing down to what people, you know, are gonna wear and their hair and the world, the whole thing. So I was intimidated because it was a big idea too. It involved lots of people for Describe it for the whole company and um, you know, a boulder with a rock and like I originally wanted snails and fire. Like I had a whole thing. We got a pig. We did get a pig though. Because they all need wranglers. If you want snails, you need a snail person
Really?
to look after the snails and make sure that the snails are looked after. Which fair enough, and I should have thought of that. Been more respectful to think
Now
that I could just
now you know.
get snails willy nilly. Um, but it was really powerful to me. I mean, that video is sort of in an absurd way what I want my life to be like. And I don't care if that is so transparent that you can like see how messed up I am, but that's what I want. I want some utopian, um, I don't know, dance, absurdity, fighting, hugging, mud pit. It's just like I'm into it.
I don't
So
think that's weird. There have been novels and written about that and movies written about that and poems
yeah, I guess
made
so.
about that. That's a pretty universal feeling. I mean, that makes sense. And you touched on this a minute ago, but how just kind of a mind fuck that you created this record in this place of, reaching out and being a part of a community and people, and then the pandemic comes and you're isolated. Um, I guess you just have to roll with that. But
Mhm.
I mean, how does that feel now to have this beautiful thing and ready to have it out into the world and wanting to be out there too? I mean,
Um, it's a little confusing, but putting a record out is really strange. It's always a weird feeling. I mean, you're usually done with the music for months before you share it, and so you kind of just have this thing that it was made for other people, but it's just you know in quarantine somewhere, and then you release it. But putting it out, I feel the outside world now that people are listening to it. Like I feel everybody more than when I was home and the music wasn't out, and so that's been really powerful. And I mean, I haven't felt good, so I haven't been to the protests, but there's so much happening right now and so many like heartening reasons to like be hopeful about people coming together and what that means, even though it's in the face of something fucking horrible and violent. But
absolutely.
I don't know. I still feel like there's warmth. I think things are shitty and they have been for hundreds of years and they will continue to be terrible, especially in America. But there's warmth to be had alone and with people, and I'm dedicated to finding it and making more for other people.
That's that's what we can do right now, and we can reach out, and there's definitely still ways to support one another and be a part of a community right now, you know, even though it's different and it's difficult. I'm Cheryl Waters talking with Mike Hadreas of Perfume Genius, and we have another song we want to play. This one also comes from the album Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. It's called Jason.
trust me, lying on his sheets. He did not do the same, even his boots were on. Clumsy shaker, me. He ran his hands up me. He was afraid, tears streaming down his face. Jason, there's no rush. No one that comes up. Letting in some love. Where there always should have been some. I was proud to see one another read just for a night, even through all the drink. We were 23, pretty on CD. When we woke up, he just asked me to leave. I stole 20 from his blue jeans. I'm pretty sure that he saw me.
You're listening to Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home. I'm Cheryl Waters talking with Mike Hadreas. That song Jason appears on the latest album from Perfume Genius, Set My Heart on Fire Immediately. Mike, you've been participating in some digital pride celebrations. I know you did the Billboard Pride Prom, released that new Mazzy Star cover, Fade Into You, which was super awesome. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of Pride Month and continuing the celebration in quarantine?
Pride is confusing to me because I've never been out for Pride. So Pride to me, not out like as a gay person, I've been out since I was really young. I just haven't been like into to any functions or anything. So the Pride that I get is usually like Bank of America like changing its icon to like a the rainbow flag for a month, like kind of Pride thing, which is just not. And I went to the Pride parade once, and it was companies. It was just companies. I don't know how I feel about that, but I was talking to someone, and she said that she just thinks of this month as a time to reflect on her queerness and what that means, and I don't know, it personalized it more instead of me getting sort of like up in arms about shit that I can't really even um, unpack because I'm not paying attention enough. But I mean, I work on the healthy amount of pride that I need and that I deserve, and I have been working on that for a long time. And I hope, um, I hope for everybody else too.
We're obviously in the middle of an important movement for Black lives, and you've been vocal across social media about the importance of supporting Black members of the LGBTQIA plus community, and especially Black trans folks. And the intersectionality of Pride and Black Lives Matter is so important. And can you talk a little bit, about how you feel, how you feel about it? I mean,
I mean, Black women Black queer people have been on the forefront of every movement for like racial justice, for LGBTQ rights, you know, and we can't look to them for strength and then appropriate. And I don't know, a lot of specifically cis gay men, white men, think they have a free pass to be misogynists and racist just because of their queerness, and that's fucked up. And we need to hold each other accountable when that happens. Um, I don't know. I think you can't you can't support one group and not support them all. It's bizarre to me and almost psychopathic how people can compartmentalize um, what needs to happen for one group when not giving it to everyone else.
I know for many individuals, your music is incredibly important in their celebration of Pride and both the struggles and powerful movement that Pride represents. What does it mean to you playing that role for your artist?
Wait, what was the question? Sorry.
I mean, what does it mean to you playing that role for your audience as an artist? I mean, your music has been so incredibly important for many people in celebrating their pride and the struggles that they've gone through.
Um, I feel it's the only responsibility that I have that I feel really blessed about. Like I I love carrying that because I feel good at it, and I feel like I have things to share that are helpful, and I don't feel like that very often. Um, when I was growing up and listening to music, it's what I looked to find comfort and to find a companion to me, not to figure anything out or to necessarily make me feel better, but just to feel less lonely being the way that I was or feeling the way that I do, you know? And I had to look all over for that. And I found it with queer musicians and I found it with musicians that weren't queer, but I feel like sharing my experience explicitly and not hiding any part of it can maybe be an in for people to feel that, you know, um, more completely than they had for specific feelings and emotions, or maybe essentially more completely than I did when I was younger. You know, so I'm kind of writing for that version of myself and when I was young a lot.
Can you remember or bring to mind now any of those musicians that did that for you when you were younger?
Oh, there's so many. I think Liz Phair, when I talk about her endlessly, almost to the point where I'm almost embarrassed. I feel like if she has any kind of Google alert for herself, then she's getting some Perfume Genius hits in there too for me running my mouth about her. But when I got Exile in Guyville and put it on and heard her singing about sex in such an unashamed, powerful, like emboldened way, that was like revolutionary to me. And it was also like I was only listening to like Ace of Base before I got a Liz Phair CD. I was only listening to like pop music. It was my first non-pop music record, and also it was Liz Phair, and it just like blew me up. And you know, I was only like 13. It's not like I was having I was having some sexual thoughts, but I wasn't having any sex. But I knew that that was the part of me that was supposedly deviant and that I was supposed to feel very ashamed about is who I eventually wanted to have sex with. And to hear a woman sing about men and sing about sex and in such an unashamed, powerful way was really, um, I don't know, powerful, you know? And Rufus Wainwright, when I got his record, and this is like a gay voice, this is a gay individual with a gay voice too, you know? And that was singing about men, not changing pronouns. And I mean, it's like beautiful, really important to me.
It is beautiful, and your music does that for so many people as well. It's so fun talking with you today. Thank you so much for doing this. We have a couple more songs still. You
Yeah.
recorded something from your 2017 album, No Shape. We have Valley coming up next.
Yeah.
It's Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home.
thought I saw you. Payphone on rocker. Michelle, I still want to give in. I'd understand if you did. How long must we live right before we don't even have to try? Wow, wow. Note from your daughter, drawing of 3 flowers. I still keep it with me. Does she still want to sing? How long must we live right before we don't even have to try? Oh, oh, oh. I hear the sound of a million drums. With no beat, violet with no melody. I'm sad with it. Quiet. I don't blame you for wanting out. I'm kinda close myself. No love, no amount. Never enough to go around.
Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home. People are losing their minds that you just played that song. That's clearly a fan fave. Thank you for playing that. I've had you for so long. I just looked at our time here, so I'm just going to ask you a couple more quick questions and
Okay.
you can get on with your day. But I'm just so excited to see you.
Yeah,
I
likewise.
when I think about you, I just am so happy that you're able to make a life through music. And you know, I can't imagine that any musician, when they're just starting out, can see what will be down the road for them. And, it's not easy to be able to do this and make your life with this. I know that when I stumble across one of your songs in some sort of placement in some show or somewhere, I'm always so delighted. And it's funny because I never think about how any of that works. That's not the business that I'm in. And I think a lot of us naively have this vision of artists just writing songs, recording songs, going on tour, and then they start writing again and recording again. But I'm so happy that there's so much more to it. I mean, are there opportunities, outside of music that you are able to explore, but that maybe are parallel to your music? I mean, I imagine now you're down in LA, maybe acting, or maybe
Yeah.
be a judge on.
I was actually thinking about acting because somebody approached me, like, and asked me if I wanted to act. I can't imagine. Like, I can imagine playing different versions of me, but then I was like, could I be like a fireman or something? I was like,
I
I could
think
be
you could
me
do
as
it.
a fireman, but I don't know if I could be like Dave the fireman. I don't know if I could do that. But I do want to make a movie, but my movie will be like 4 hours long, and it'll just be people just like slowly moving from one room to another. You know what I mean? With my music in it. So I'm planning on doing stuff like that.
I'd love to see you like as a judge on American Idol or something like that.
Excuse me. I watch American Idol. I watch The Voice. I watch all of those. Like, we get relentlessly people giving us a hard time for it. But to me, I don't know. I love it. I love it because, of course, the framework is kind of soul crushing. But there's always like a couple people that no matter what outfit they've been put in or what song they have to sing, something soulful and real like leaks out. And you can't. That always will come out if you have it, and I love seeing that. And I will judge that an A+ when I see it, or I will turn my chair.
Well, I judge your new record an A+, and I am gonna let you go, but don't go yet because I want you to come back. You were
Okay.
so kind to do a great cover for us. Maybe I will just make it a surprise and see if people can figure it out. This is Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home.
This is just a nightmare. Soon I'm gonna wake up. Someone's gonna drag me around, running from the bomber, running through the forest, lying flat on the ground, just like everybody, stepping over heads, running from the underground. This is a warning for minute warning. I don't wanna hear it. I don't wanna know. I just wanna run and hide. This is just a nightmare. Soon I'm gonna wake up. Someone's gonna drag me around. This is a warning for minute warning.
Perfume Genius live on KEXP at home with 4-Minute Warning by Radiohead. One of our listeners here, Dustin, says octaves like a boss. I love it. Absolutely beautiful. I read somewhere that you had been playing a bunch of covers at home right now.
Yeah.
You've been
Yeah,
having
that song, I decided to turn it into something I can share. But I don't know. I haven't been writing at all, but I've been playing covers just for myself. It's been really like soothing, just singing and playing other people's songs.
Well, what have you got on deck for the rest of the day or the rest of the week? You said you just moved yesterday. We're going to be unpacking and
We want to buy some sort of outdoor lounging thing. I want something with cushions. You know what I mean? Like not like some wicker or like wireframe outdoor thing that's uncomfortable. I want like I know you can't have down probably outside, but the equivalent, like the patio equivalent of down in some sort of lounge thing.
I know that exists because I have friends
Okay.
who have that. And
Really?
it's wonderful. I live in an
Well,
apartment, so one of the things about the pandemic right now is it's hard not to be able to be outside while in quarantine.
mhm.
So I'm happy for you that you have that space, and
Yeah, me too. I just want to lay out
go
in
get
the
that
sun.
immediately.
Okay.
All right,
Nice talking to
set
you.
my heart on fire immediately and go get your loungy
Okay.
wear immediately.
Bye,
My
everybody.
bye bye.
Bye.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.